Hello, my loves. I hope everyone's having a great day. I am doing chapter 1 of my series for my book, if I can get it right, Badass Gratitude. I hope everybody has some, or will find some soon. I have 2 corrections from my intro video that I put out the other day. First one, I'm a Gen Xer. I am not a Gen Zer. I feel young, but I am a full-on Gen Xer. And number 2, Google was founded in 1998, not 2008. I knew there was an 8, but I don't have a script. I can't see my notes anyway because of my vision, so there might be an occasional, whoops. But thank you all for listening. I hope you are enjoying so far. I know it was only 1, but I hope you get a message and some inspiration or empowerment or whatever it is out of my videos. But let's get into it. All right, chapter 1, Badass Gratitude. It is called Denialville. And it starts by me telling the story of how I was born in Virginia and I was adopted into a Jewish family in New Jersey. Most of them are from Brooklyn. Actually, all of them are from Brooklyn pretty much originally. But my parents wanted to live in the country, so they chose New Jersey. And that was it. I was born and I got adopted, and that was my family. My parents said that my mother who gave birth, well, not my mother, the woman who gave birth to me, the girl, was very young. And they just saw like a quick flash of a picture, and that's how they knew she was young. This was 1970. There was not a lot of information. There was not a lot of, I want to see the child. I want to know about the child. And I know that from experience, which you'll hear later on, about me and my husband thinking about adopting. So anyway, I don't want to jump ahead too much, but I grew up with a pretty good childhood. Like, I felt very fortunate. I had a big, loving, hungry, loud Jewish family that we saw all the time. And I became friends with my cousins. So even to this year, 50 years later, I am still friends with them. We get together, we see each other as much as we can, and we're so excited to see each other at like family dinners and holidays and all the good stuff. I do feel very blessed, and I recognize that not everybody had that situation. So I just want to remind everybody, this was my situation. These were my feelings at the time, my perspectives, what I knew and what I didn't know, and thoughts that were going around in my like banana brain, because I'm not going to say I was sheltered, but I was very, it was tough. Like I said, there was no internet. There was no way really for me to find instant information. I wasn't driving when I was young, so I couldn't go somewhere myself, but that's besides the point. It's just, this is my view and my perspectives and my mindset around everything at the time. So, that being said, adopted into an amazing family, so blessed, got to go to sleepaway camp for 2 months a year in the summer, and I got to take a vacation away from my parents, and my parents got a vacation away from me, which we all enjoyed thoroughly. And I met amazing friends at camp, and some of us are still friends to this day, 40 something years later. And I feel very blessed about that. It was a big, big community. And my friends and I would just go wreak havoc everywhere. Like, if there was trouble, we were there. And I think that's where it all started, for lack of a better, I'm just kidding. Like, we were just, we wreaked havoc everywhere. But that being said, every year before I went to camp, I just had to get a regular physical from the doctor, you know, check your heart, do your blood pressure, pee in the cup, blah, blah, blah. I never knew why you peed in a cup. I'm like, what is this guy doing with my pee? And one year when I was 12 and very excited to go back to camp, the doctor came in. It seemed like he was unusually long in his return to give me the A-OK. He came back and I, you know, it was like, all right, let's do this. Tell me I can go and I'm out. And he said, you're not going to camp. And I'm like, what do you mean? You know, what? And he said, you're not going to camp. You're actually going to have to go home, pack a bag, and you're going in the hospital for 2 weeks because you have juvenile diabetes, is what they called it back then. I'm sorry, what? I don't know what that is. I'm sorry, what? I can't go to camp? You know, so I'm sitting there with my mouth gaping open. My mother's sitting there with her mouth gaping open next to me. She was on my left. That's why I'm looking this way. For completely different reasons. Like, my mother was like, oh my God, my baby girl was just diagnosed with an incurable disease. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't go to camp? So I said, okay, 2 weeks, but I can go for the second half of the summer, right? And he's like, you're not going back to camp. And I'm like, okay, but so you can go for the first half, or you can go for the second half, or you can go for the whole summer. I'm like, this guy gave a shit about the camp schedule. He's like, you're going to the hospital and you're going to learn how to take care of yourself and what you need to do. Fine. So I ended up going in, wreaked havoc there. The nurses knew us. My friend Jen would come over every day and we would just be menacing almost. Like, they had a doll they called Sugar Baby that had like all the spots where you give your shots and you know, the indicators. Well, we hung that thing out of the window by its neck in demand for ransom of sugarless chewing gum. Like, that's, you know, that's who we were. So the fun stopped when a doctor came in who I was like, who is this old man? And he was probably younger than I am today. And he said to me, which I'm sure he did not in this way, you need to do this or you're gonna die. That's what I heard. I'm sure he said everything except for that, but that's how it got filtered into my brain, my 12-year-old brain, who was already pissed that I wasn't at camp. And I was like, fuck you. First of all, you don't talk to a girl like that. This is my brain again. I did not say this to my doctor. I was taught manners by my mother and my father, and my friends' mothers and fathers. They don't let you get away with shit in those houses back then. So I was like, no, I don't like that. But I did what I had to do. The nurses came in and they like calmed it down. They're like, listen, your life is going to change, but you can still lead a normal life. You know, some things are going to have to change about it, cut some things out, add some things. But it was like, okay, all right, well, if somebody is reasonable and knows how to talk to a little girl, then fine. But I still wasn't happy. I was still angry and still rebellious. And when I got out, I was good for a while. But then in the Jewish religion, we have a bat mitzvah, which is their ceremony and it's when the child is grown into the religion as a man or a woman from a child. So that's the very like generalized, short, sweet version of it. So I was going to all these bar and bat mitzvahs, and I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know if anyone was around in 1982 or 83, but the sugarless candy and cake and all that tasted like shit. Like, I don't know what kind of crazy chemicals they were using, but this stuff just tasted like garbage. It was disgusting. And if anybody's listening who was doing it, I apologize, but I imagine that some of the stuff is like, do you remember what makgelit tastes like? Or what you can imagine makgelit tastes like on Friends? If you don't remember that episode, it's a good one. But, like, that's what I imagine. So I was like, wait a second. And they would be introducing me like, oh, here's your special cake. Or here's your special candy in your gift bag. And I'm like, how can I lead a normal life when everything I need or everything I get is labeled special? And not like the like, yeah, girl, you are so special. Like, woohoo. It was like, oh, here's your special candy because you can't have anything else like the rest of the kids. That was bullshit to me. And I didn't care. And I was like, you know what? Whatever. Probably an unconscious decision, but yet a decision. So I was just so mad. So I went through high school, not taking care of myself, and I didn't do drugs or drink, or, every once in a while I would have a drink. But I would like eat a whole box of Frosted Flakes, or, like half a pizza or a whole pizza, or I would eat a box of Yodels or Ring Dings. So like, it'd be like eating a bag of like gummy fish now. And I rebelled. And the things I was doing back then were not changing my everyday. Like, I was cute and funny, and I had a great rack, so it's not ruining anything. But it was, and I didn't know it. So on the side note, if you are doing things like I was, thinking that later down the road, nothing will happen, or there might not be consequences, well, there might be also. And I have had some dire consequences from not taking care of myself and starting as early as I could. That being said, I graduated high school barely because I didn't apply myself. I got bored in class. I would get the answer correct, but I wouldn't necessarily do it the way they wanted me to do it. But I'm like, but I got the right answer. And they're like, but you didn't do it our way. So they would mark it wrong, or they would fail me, or, on a test or whatever. I'm like, but is this about getting the right answer, or is it about doing it your way? Well, they didn't like that, but that's besides the point. But I ended up, I graduated high school. And, I always wondered why I never applied myself. And this carried through from high school to college. After high school, I got some like meaningless jobs, not meaningless, but like I was a manicurist and I loved it because of the social interaction, and it was creative, and I got to like do it, like I saw something that I created after, and I created beauty, which I thought. And I worked in a small office, a very small office, where I had some situations, but it's in the book. I can't give you everything. And I decided I needed to go to school. I was literally after work one day sitting on the couch eating a bag of Oreos, and a commercial came on for school. And I was like, you know what? I have to get some kind of degree. I need a piece of paper that says I have a higher education, and I have to do something. So a commercial came on, and I saw for the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale. So I applied, I got in, and I went to school for fashion and retail merchandising. And I highly focused on fashion design and fashion history. I was always very into style. I was always into putting myself together, you know, when I go out and I present myself, I always thought it was very important of how you present yourself when you're out there, you know, because you never know who you're going to meet. You never know what's going to happen. Same reason that your mom says, you know, always have clean underwear in case you get in an accident. You'll have clean underwear. But I'm like, always look good. So if you get rushed to the hospital, God forbid, or if something happens, you're going to look good doing it, no matter what. That was my mindset back then, and a little bit now, but not like the rush to the hospital thing. So anyway, I know. Don't judge me. So I went to college. I barely graduated because I didn't apply myself again, or they didn't like the way I got answers or created things or whatever it was. And I was like, all right, I'm still going to do what I went to college to do. My goal in studying fashion and focusing on design was that I am going to create the costumes for the rock bands when they went on tour. That was going to be me. Your girl was going to dress Motley Crue and Van Halen and Aerosmith and whoever else, Def Leppard, Whitesnake. That's my time. I was a rock chick. But that's it. I mean, I got through it. I found my interest in fashion design. I was really good at it, and I could put my vision on paper, and I could draw it out, and everything was amazing. And I had my sketchbooks, and I was doing this thing. And then, actually, this is where the chapter ends, and I go to my next chapter, which is called I'm What for What? So, actually, no. I've read this so many times. All right, watch my next video. I don't want to overdo this and keep explaining. So, but next time it's a college experience that happens while I was there. And again, a diabetes related thing. And again, a what the fuck moment. All right. I love you guys. Thank you for listening. If you have questions, DM me with questions. I am so excited that you're here with me, and I am grateful for you. And I hope everyone can find some badass gratitude in something in their life. It will change your brain. It will change everything, I tell you. Okay. Have a great day, guys.